While you've been watching the World Cup, Iran has been running an operation. DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin just confirmed it. Iranian nationals with direct ties to the IRGC were caught at the border. Others tried to hide inside of Iran's own World Cup delegation. We are in the middle of millions of people flooding into American cities from around the world. We're in an active conflict with Iran, and they were already trying to get people in.
We're also seeing this with the games they're playing with FIFA. You know, we're still hosting the World Cup, and Iran has a team that's playing. And in fact, the team is playing today in LA. Most teams travel with around 120 people. That's their support staff, doctors, coaches, everybody else that comes along with them, and their delegation. We accepted 53 individuals coming in. The rest of the individuals that Iran had tried to bring in also had direct ties to the IRGC and aren't their normal traveling group. So these games that Iran plays is unfortunately makes them an adversary that you can't trust.
Yeah, we can't trust them. This is not a drill. This is happening right now. They use soccer to sneak operatives into America. We know it's the world's most famous sport, most popular sport. At least that's what the Department of Homeland Security is now alleging. And if they're right, this is one of the most brazen infiltration attempts we've ever seen on American soil. DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin just revealed that Iranian nationals with direct ties to the IRGC, Iran's elite military force, were caught trying to slip across the northern border. But that's not even the most alarming part. Iran allegedly tried to embed extra personnel inside its own World Cup delegation. Extra people hidden inside of a sports team. And DHS says they blocked many of them specifically because of the suspected IRGC connections. Let that sink in. A regime that openly funds terrorism and has active plots against American targets tried to use the World Cup on American soil as a human delivery system. Now, we know what they're capable of. We remember Beirut. We remember Khobar Towers. We remember the coal. This isn't a soccer story. This isn't even just a border story. This is what it looks like when a hostile government starts probing your access points all at once. The border, the visa system, international events, very quickly. In Los Angeles, there's going to be events all over the country. We've got the 250th celebration, July 4th. The world knows about that. Homeland Security is being probed. All of these things are happening at the same time. And adversaries don't do that randomly. They do it when they're looking for seams, when they're mapping your weaknesses, when they're getting ready for something. So here's the question you need to be asking tonight. Did Iran just use the 2026 World Cup as a backdoor into the United States? And how many made it through before anyone noticed?
Of Iranian nationals trying to sneak in through our northern, not southern border, because President Trump's policies have closed the southern border. So our northern border, we've seen our arrests go up daily on Iranian nationals, and we have a good partnership with our Canadian partners that have been able to help apprehend them too. But it's worrisome because the amount of influx we see and the amount of connections we have when we capture the people that they have direct ties to the IRGC, which the IRGC is not the regular army of Iran. The IRGC is the true believers of this radical regime. And fortunately, because of our strength zero policies that we have underneath President Trump, we're able to capture the individuals coming across.
My question is, what did they have planned for the World Cup? Is this a dry run, or did they wake up the sleeping cells? Because we know we have the Olympics coming. And here's what makes this even more urgent. The World Cup isn't some distant hypothetical. It's going on right now. Millions of people, dozens of venues across American cities, Los Angeles, New York, Dallas, Miami, Boston. These aren't just stadiums. They are soft targets We won't talk about them all being sanctuary cities. We won't talk about them all being ran by Democrats. We won't talk about them all cutting law enforcement and cutting funding for law enforcement. These are all soft targets. These are high visibility, high crowd, high symbolism events that a regime under military and economic pressure would love to exploit while the world watches. And whether this was for intelligence gathering, surveillance, or something far worse, think about what Iran is dealing with right now. They're weakened, significant losses. Their proxies have been degraded. Their nuclear program is under pressure. They're meeting right now with the Vice President of the United States in Switzerland. They are cornered. A cornered dog will bite you, and a cornered adversary doesn't go quiet. They look for leverage. And what better leverage than chaos on American soil at the most watched sporting event in the world, while the whole planet is watching? There are people that speak with whistles and clicks that know who Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are. We've seen this playbook before. Large international events have historically been used for intelligence operations, talent spotting, and in some cases, as cover for pre-positioning assets. Think about J6. You remember that one?
So do we know if those people trying to come through the U.S.'s northern border are being directed by the IRGC, or are they people fleeing from Iran?
Most of the individuals have ties directly to the IRGC.
Wow.
Listen, it's hard to get out of the country of Iran unless you have a path to do so. We're also seeing this with the games they're playing with FIFA. You know, we're still hosting the World Cup, and Iran has a team that's playing. And in fact, the team is playing today in LA. Most teams travel with around 120.
So that's very important he says that. It's hard to get out of Iran. The people that are out were allowed out. Were they given a mission? Do you think some of these football players could have been coerced? The FBI, DHS, and Secret Service are all surging resources for the World Cup. That's not routine, that's a signal. So the next time someone tells you this is just a soccer story, remember what DHS just told us about who was trying to get in and why. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about historical significance. People keep saying it could never happen here, but it already happened. It already has. Think about Munich, 1972, the Olympic Games. The world was watching. Palestinian terrorists from Black September took 11 Israeli athletes hostage inside of the Olympic Village. All 11 were killed. It remains one of the most devastating attacks in the history of international sport, carried out not despite the global spotlight, but because of it. And then closer to home, Atlanta, 1996, the Summer Olympics on American soil. We all know that that pipe was detonated in Centennial Olympic Park. During a concert, 2 people died. Over 100 were injured. The bomber wasn't a foreign state. He was domestic. And he still nearly brought the games to a halt. The lesson from both events is the same. Large international gatherings don't just attract fans. They attract people who want to make a statement to the entire world at once. And what better way to do it than on the world stage, 250th anniversary of the greatest country in the world. And right now, Iran has every reason to want to make that statement. Now let's talk a little bit about some of these cities. The 2026 World Cup is spread across 16 host cities across the US, Canada, and Mexico. Not all venues carry equal risk. Here's what that threat picture looks like. New York, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium. It hosts the final, the single highest profile match of the entire tournament. Some people would say the world. The most symbolic target on the board. Dense urban environment. Massive transit infrastructure. And the most internationally visible venue in the American sports world. Okay? Now today, Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium. It's one of the most densely populated metros in the country. We got Gavin Newsom as the governor. We got Karen Bass as a mayor. They're not as concerned about people from outside of our country as maybe you and I are, right? There's a massive international population there, some of them illegal, some of them not. They don't care. LA is also a city with known Iranian intelligence concerns that the FBI has previously flagged. You've got Dallas, AT&T Stadium, central location, high capacity, one of the largest venues in the tournament. Geographically, it's also closer to the southern border, which adds a different layer of vulnerability. You know, the people coming in and out across from there. Yeah, and a very large Muslim community in Dallas. It's growing like weeds. Miami, that's another one. Hard Rock Stadium in a city with enormous international travel. Major international airport, a proximity to the Caribbean, South American transit routes, you know, Cuba and all those boats. Those have been historically used for smuggling people and materials into the United States. And then we've got Boston, one of the most liberal cities in the world. The mayor there doesn't care. Significant symbolic weight given that the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Any attack in Boston carries outsized psychological impact because the city has already been hit. The common thread across all of these cities, massive crowds, international media, and the kind of symbolic weight that makes them attractive to the bad guys, to a regime that wants the world to see what they can do. Here's where we are. Iran is under pressure. Their proxies are weakened. Their nuclear program has been exposed, and according to DHS, they just tried to use the World Cup, our World Cup, to move people into this country. Munich happened, Atlanta happened, and both times the world said afterward, we should have seen the signs. The signs are right in front of us. The FBI is surging. DHS is blocking people at the border, and we're weeks away from the most watched single event on the planet being held in New York City, while we're in an active, unresolved conflict with the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is a moment to pay attention, not to panic, but to pay attention. If this video gave you something to think about, because the more people who are informed right now, the better. Subscribe if you're not already, because we're going to keep tracking this story as the tournament builds up. I pray that nothing happens. I pray for guidance, strength, foresight, and knowledge for our law enforcement and those others around the world that are trying to protect us. The World Cup is going on right now. Keep your eyes peeled. Stay locked in. Stay tuned into the channel.